Hey y'all, welcome back to Dots and Beyond. My name is Beth and today we are going to be doing a journal review of the JoieThings Journals. I have two of those here for us to check out, so let's go ahead and get started. Now I have ordered two of these JoieThings journals. They're one of the brands that I just sort of stumbled across the internet, but they had a lot of patterns and things that appealed to me, and I thought I would just go ahead and buy a couple of these and take a look at them and see if I like them. So this is a compass. It's sort of a coppery color with a gold foil compass on it. A compass is something that I am very drawn to. And then the other one that I got, and it's going to be very bright because it's still in the packaging here, is this olive globe that also has gold foiling on it. I left it in the packaging because I did want you to see that it comes in this very nondescript sort of packaging, just the plastic wrapped around it. Both of these journals were in a single box together, so no frills, no fancy, just the wrapper and the journal. But we are going to do some pen testing and some measuring and look at some things in these journals. So first of all, let us kick over to the internet and look at where I picked mine up. So there are two ways that you can shop for JoieThings. One of them is on their Etsy shop, which is strictly journals. There's no other merchandise on the Etsy shop beyond the journals, but if you prefer shopping on Etsy, then maybe that is a place that you want to check. You can also shop on their website, which is just JoieThings.com, which is where I went to pick up my two journals. Now they do give us a little bit of information here on their website, so we're going to scroll down a little bit. Every journal has 160 GSM paper for those of us who like to possibly use heavier pens or paints in our journals without any bleed through or ghosting. Each journal has 160 pages or 80 sheets, and as JoieThings states, you can have 12 monthly plans, 53 weekly plans, and 30 pages for various trackers. So if you are trying to fit your entire year into one journal, maybe this is an option for you. And then of course there are the little extras like a big pocket at the back, the pen holder, the elastic band, and two bookmarks. Now what drew me to JoieThings was the ability to do a little bit more personalization and customization. So this does say find your style, and as you look down through their different designs, some of them are plain, some of them obviously have the gold foiling, but you can also alter those to a different color. We're going to look here at this globe because this is one of the ones that I did order, and here is all of the information about the journal, the sizing, the 160 GSM paper, dot grid with 5mm spacing, white pages, all of those things that we look for in our premier brands from Archer and Olive, Notebook Therapy. But you do have this option here to choose your color and choose your stamping color. So all of your colors are sort of listed here, from aqua to blue to brown, gray, olive. Olive is the one that I got in the Earth journal, and it is very much true to color here on the website. And mustard, purple, pink, deep green, and black leather. Clicking back really quickly and just flipping through, we have all of these different zodiac signs. We have some plain ones. I love this city life sort of design that looks like London, and there are just so many to choose from. That is just the beginning. We'll flip over here to look further at some of the design options that they have. This to-go coffee mug. Obviously my other one that I got here was this compass, and globes and compasses are very important to me, and not being able to find sort of those layouts, with the exception of the A4, the very large red lined journal from Archer and Olive, which I actually have two of. I've bought another one off of somebody on a trade site because I love it so much. And then this desert, dragon, falling star. There's just a lot of designs to choose from. I am probably going to get myself one of these 4 elements journals in a different color, but just because I just love the energy of the 4 elements. There's just a lot for you to look at, choose from, personalize. From what I can tell, JoieThings has been around since 2017, 2018, which was before I began bullet journaling. So I don't know if there has been any kind of a drama with this shop or any kind of fallout. The one thing that I would say that is important to me that cannot be found anywhere is that as a small business owner, it's more important than ever to share some information on manufacturing and efforts towards sustainability, and we have none of that. I have checked here on the website. I have checked on Etsy for some sort of about information on how the journals are manufactured or where they're manufactured, where the paper comes from, that sort of thing. I have also checked their YouTube channel as well as their Instagram. Now let's get back to the journals. Now that you know where you can get your JoieThings journal, let's go ahead and look at this one. So as the website stated, it does have an elastic band. What is notable is that this one is very wide compared to the ones that come on, say, an Archer and Olive or a Notebook Therapy. This is my Archer and Olive therapy journal, ironically, but so it is probably triple the width of this particular band on the Archer and Olive. I don't hate it. I haven't used it enough to know whether I'm going to like it or not. The extra support, I think, is actually something that probably would be beneficial for me. So opening this up, and the first thing you notice on the inside is that there is no sort of branding or nameplate, which I actually like. I have been known to cover up the branding of Archer and Olive on the inside of the journal, not because I hate their branding. I actually love the shape of an ampersand. It's one of my favorite shapes. I just like having this space to do with it whatever I will. To balance that out, their branding for JoieThings is on the back. And on the back of the Archer and Olive, we don't have anything at all. And I actually would prefer to not have any outward branding on the journal like the Archer and Olive, but if that doesn't bother you, and maybe it won't bother me, maybe just I won't look at the back enough for it to really bug me. I don't necessarily care for the branding on the back of the journal. Turn that back around and look on the inside. Of course, we have this same old page that, you know, reacts the same as all of the others. Otherwise, with a little bit of training, it does lie flat. So it is a lie flat journal. And looking at dot grid, and that is definitely a 5mm dot grid. We have 13 centimeters across, which would be 26 for the squares, which is the same as Archer and Olive. And we have 19, which is 38. Now, the one thing I do notice right off the bat is that these are slightly darker dots than what is in the Archer and Olive. I don't think they're obnoxiously dark. They might be too dark for you if you are sensitive to the dots. As I get older and my eyesight is not quite as good as it used to be, I do find that a slightly darker dot is not necessarily a problem for me, but these are just a shade darker than the Archer and Olive dots. It's pretty noticeable in person. I don't know that you would necessarily notice it if you weren't looking at them side by side, but it's one of the reasons I don't particularly care for the craft paper or even the blackout paper, is because the dots are difficult for my aging eyes to see, and that's just one of those things. Now, of course, the other thing that we noticed when those were side by side is that this is bright white paper. It is very much the same shade of white as the Archer and Olive. It's not necessarily more creamy or more blue toned, so it is definitely a white paper. Here in the back, we have our pocket, which is pretty much the same as the Archer and Olive one as well. Let me measure it really quickly. 13 centimeters. Yeah, that's the same as the Archer and Olive pocket as well. So we are now going to just jump right in and do a pen test on this page. Some of these things we know are not going to work, like a Sharpie. But we are going to show them to you anyway. So this is my Pigma Micron, which is my go-to fine liner, and I am working around the microphone today, which I am not used to doing. I normally do voiceovers, but this is a Pigma Micron. This is the 05. My new go-to pen is the Sharpie S Gel. I now know why everybody loves this pen. Even my son Kenny has switched over to this pen. Oh, look at me. See what happens when I talk and write at the same time. Let's not do that, Beth. Sharpie S Gel. Alright, so there are just the very quick pens. I am going to do smudge tests on these as well. So we will do a 1 second. 3 second, and a 5-second. And as you can see, the Pigmamicron soaked right in and we didn't really have any smudging there. Let's do the rest of these. And that is it for the pen test. I don't tend to keep a ton of pens around. Once I find something that I like, I tend to stick with it. This smudging of the Uniball Vision Elite, it was absolutely not a surprise for me. I was trying to use it as my go-to pen for a little while, and this is the reason that I switched to something else at that point, which was the Sharpie S-Gel pen. I think this little Sharpie one at the 5-second mark, I think I just colored a really heavy blob there more than anything, and that's why that spread. I don't typically have any issues with the Sharpie S-Gel and smudging. Let's move on to our stash of brush pens. So here I have an Ohuhu, I have an Amazon Basics, this is our Tombow, I have 2 Furunosokes, and then a Pigmamicron brush pen as well. Okay, so now that we have pens and markers on the page, let's go ahead and look at this. Any of these that we can see through, any shadowing through there, and then any coming through the back, and there's no bleed through on the back either. Now my next set is some paint pens and a Sharpie. So I'm pretty sure the Sharpie's gonna bleed through, but I have a Uniposca, I have an acrylograph. Now my black acrylograph has completely died, so this is like the dark forest green from one of the fall collections, very close to black, or as close to black as I think I can get with an acrylograph, so we're gonna try that one as well. Okay, now let's see what we have. So the only one that is coming through, which was perfectly expected, is the Sharpie, and of course it's a little bit darker on that area that went over 3 times, or when I was writing with my natural handwriting, which can also be pretty heavy. I'm very heavy-handed when I am writing. So, and then looking through this way, and none of those seem to be able to be seen through there very much at all. So those are pretty great. And of course the Sharpie was expected. I don't have any fountain pens. I don't keep anything like that around. Those are things that I cannot test for you just because I don't use them. But I am going to do some paint. So this is black gouache, and I have 3 different consistencies of it. This one has less water, medium water, and lots of water. And we're just going to go ahead and test those as well. While those are drying, we will go ahead and do some gold. So my go-to gold pen of choice is a Uniball Signo gold gel pen. This is the .07. And then on occasion, I do like to use this Pen Touch, which is also from Sakura. You've got to be very careful. It will pool and bleed very, very quickly. So if you can control it, it has a very fine tip to it, and I do like to use it a lot. But if you are priming it on the page and it pools, it'll come through very, very quickly. Now it does work super great on top of things like black washi tape. So if you want to have a big bold black header and then use this as opposed to the gel pen, which doesn't necessarily work or roll as well on washi tape, then this is a good choice for you. It's another one of the reasons I keep it around. We are still drying, of course. So Uniball Signo, Sakura Pen Touch, and like I said, that Pen Touch, as long as you don't get carried away with it, it does not come through. So the only thing we still have bleeding through is our Sharpie. Now we are starting to have some shadowing from specifically this bottom one coming through, bleeding through with a little bit of color, and that's because it was super, super wet. There's a little bit on the medium one. I am somebody who's starting to shy away from painting in my journal. Not that I don't do it, I just haven't been doing it as often as I used to. I find that it really takes too much time. it's one of those things that I have started trying to pare back and make my setups a little bit easier. Now the other thing we are going to check is that I am going to, where did my pens go? I am going to make some squiggles here with a Pigma Micron. And Faramir wants to say hello. Did everybody hear Faramir? Yeah, Faramir. And we are going to check our gel pens. Now, why he's hollering at me is because he wants out the door, and I closed a door because I'm filming and wanted some quiet. And normally he just hangs out in the bed with me, so you're gonna give me just a second and we're gonna let Faramir out the door. Alright, I am back and Faramir is out. So obviously white pens, gel pens, corrective pens, all of those good things. My preferred, like the Uniball Signo for the gold, is also the Uniball Signo for the white. This is the one that I find works best for me. Try to do a little correcting here. And of course, white on white, that looks pretty great. So that's working great for me. This is the Archer and Olive white gel pen, which I haven't used that much. That smudging is not coming from the marker or the Pigma Micron. That's coming from the last time I used this on something I probably shouldn't have. I do keep black post-it notes handy when I am trying to get my gel pens rolling and to do what they need to do. So now that we have got the jelly roll, see, it is doing great there. But when you look at the difference between the Uniball Signo and the white jelly roll here on this Pigma Micron, this is going to take a couple layers that I just don't have time for, which is why I go with the Uniball Signo. And then here, if we can clean up this Archer and Olive one, get it rolling again. And I will start right here in the middle. Yeah, and it's still not doing it that great for me. What it is great for is using it on blackout paper. It's just pretty extraordinary. This set that came, remember which box this came in, maybe the winter box last year, the December box. We got a set of gel pens and they all work amazing on the blackout paper. If the blackout paper is your thing, it is not my thing, so I don't use them that often. I did use the green one in the October setup for my son, which was a Magnos archive setup, and it worked great on the blackout paper, but it's not my favorite for correcting things. I have reached for it when I was out of the Uniball Signos, but other than that, I don't use them that often. There is, and as we're drying, you can see more of this is definitely coming through. So there are all of our pen tests for me. This paper performs pretty much like an Archer and Olive. Yeah, I must have closed this page before the Posca was dry, so that's interesting that it came across there. Other than that, I think it performs well. I'm thinking about possibly using this journal for the back half of 2023, this one particularly. So stay tuned for that. One of the first videos that'll be coming up in December, in fact probably December 1st, the first video that I will do for my Planmas or my Vlogmas, or doing a video a day. Still haven't figured out what I'm going to call that thing. I will do my journal lineup or my planner lineup for the year of 2023 and what I'm going to do the same and what I'm going to do differently, so definitely stay tuned for that. Next week will be a journal setup in Kenny's journal for his December theme, and the following week will be my December setup in my last festival that I'm doing in my year of festivals and celebrations. So stay tuned for those. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you in the next one.